I am with you 100%, if not more.
All right, do we see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Oh, this two screens definitely works out for this presentation.
Good morning, Tracy.
Now I see it.
Hello, I just wanted to say hi and to say that if you need anything, Joseph can text me and I'll come back in if you have any technical issues, but you're going to be fine. Okay? So have a wonderful time. I know you will. Okay.
Thank you, and thank you for the support.
All right. See you later.
Don't forget to adjust the view settings to see the whole PowerPoint. Well, that is something I can do if you want to give me some more information on how to do that. Let's see. Video settings.
It's right by the green. You says you're viewing Katrina Marquis' screen. It should be on view options. You should be able to go under there.
What was that? I'm so sorry.
If you go under view options, you should be able. It's right at very top. In the top, there's something called view options. If you go under there, it should give you an option.
Okay. Hold on.
I don't know if you see that or not, but
no, I don't see that. So let me look at that real quick.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Manny. Happy New Year, Manny.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let me stop and then reshare and see if something else pops up. Something I missed.
I see it perfectly on my screen, so I'm wondering if there is a specific adjustments that everyone has to do on their unique machine.
On my MacBook, it's just fine.
Yes.
Yeah, it shows up fine on my computer.
Yes, on mine is full screen, so.
Okay. Then if there's anything that you can't see, just remember that you'll get a copy of the presentation when we're done. And it's more of just we'll go over it, a lot of it in when we talk about each slide.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
That's important. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. And you can guys hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome.
My internet.
Yes.
Bad.
Hi, Nicole. Thank you so much for all your help with coordinating information for this workshop and for the student information desk. And everyone, I think it is 8:05, so I will begin with saying Happy New Year and thank you for being with us. I hope that each and every one of you had a restful winter break and wonderful holidays. And I will second James that we are all ready and eager for a better and kinder new year. I would like to introduce myself and my super team of co-presenters. My name is Kalina Hill, and I am the Testing and Placement Center Manager. And currently, I help support the Student Information Desk.
And I am Katrina McClelland. I forgot to update my name on the PowerPoint. But I am the Alternative Media Specialist with Bakersfield College. Marquez will still come into play because that is what my email is. I haven't changed my email. So if you get an email from Katrina Marquez, that's me as well.
Internet's a little bit shoddy for some odd reason. Just the day you need it to be perfect. My name is Lovey Chahal Gariwal. I do work with DSPS Specialist, and I will be talking to you today as well on certain topics. I hope you guys have a nice new year, better than last.
So again, welcome and thank you for taking early on Monday morning to be with us. Our hope today is to expand and renew your knowledge and concern to the possibility to discuss our continuous and joint efforts despite these challenging times and ensure learning, equity, and promote trust as critical points as it comes specifically to accommodated testing and our support. Please feel free to send us your questions via chat. We'll be monitoring the chat throughout the presentation. We also are offering to answer your specific questions on each of our sections. And should we run out of time, we'll respond along with copy of the presentation via email after the presentation. So today we would like to begin our presentations with 2 questions for you. To make it easier, we would ask you to raise your hand when we ask the question to take your vote. So the first question is, have you provided test accommodations for our students with recorded disabilities in the fall semester? If yes, please raise your hand, and you can do that via the reaction option or via regular raising your hand. Thank you. And our second question is, have you sought test accommodation support from the DSPS team or the testing and placement team, or now in the fall semester with the academic technology team during any of the past semester? If yes, please raise your hand or keep your hand raised. And I'm scrolling to see everyone's reaction. Thank you, guys. Well, this is a good information because we want to really ensure that we cover all the information concerning the current processes in accommodated testing thoroughly with each of you. And again, renew or completely provide you with new information as it pertains to our processes. The COVID-19 pandemic has necessitated the transition to distance learning courses for almost all of our classes. With that, we had to rethink and mobilize our efforts to ensure that the integrity of the learning and our processes internally have been kept to support the equitable support for our students with accommodation. This workshop's main objectives are to extend the information and communication to all. We want to continue to coordinate our collaboration and support to collectively improve our student support services with the use of technology. We also want to be very honest and open about the challenges and the changes that we have made or we still need to continue to make to support the inclusion, equity, and equitable support with our collective efforts from each department. This presentation will highlight our processes from eligibility, test logistics, and tracking. It will show who is responsible to support these processes and to ensure that we are having a comprehensive review of the challenges and changes that are occurring. We will include that information on each of our slides. Next slide, please. We'll begin with the why, and the why is always our students, their learning and their student support. But we cannot omit the components of equitable support, which are now even more drastic with increased communication and use of technology. And we are factoring in the challenges and the changes that we have been all in a way, task to make to provide much more frequent contacts using virtual platforms, our emails, your syllabuses, and the communication we have with our platforms to include the new web test accommodation test administration form, as well as our Canvas and Proctorio to a certain extent for the fewer faculty that are using. And as an option, the irregularity report that is listed on our website. So with that, I'll turn it to Katrina. Do you guys have any questions up to now for me?
No, it doesn't look like it. So we'll go on to the eligibility process. So the first step is for students requesting test accommodations to connect with the DSPS office, provide us documentation of a verified disability, meet with our DSPS counselors, discuss, maybe accommodations that they had in high school or anything like that. The counselor will then determine their time, their eligibility to time. So this internal document is BC specific. Just if a student does request test accommodations, it is required that they provide you this form. So this is something you can ask for. If you get a request for test accommodations, you can ask them if they have their eligibility document from DSPS. As I mentioned, it tells you how much time they get for their testing needs. This form, you can also look at this form, and it has other components to it, of course. It does provide classroom support. So whether this is a distance learning class or a face-to-face class, this form will stay the same. So you can see their needs here. They have textbook support, which is what I provide. So if you get a student letting you know that they need audio textbooks or they need something in audio, please refer them to me if it's on their form, okay? This document should be up to date. So we are gonna be starting the spring 21 semester. So this form at the top should say 2020 to 2021. If it says anything past that, the student has not completed an update, their form is still valid because accommodations do not expire. But I would suggest that you let them know to connect with us to get their form updated to see if they qualify for additional time or other accommodations. Let's see. All right, so that's pretty much that on this form. So what we're going to talk about now is our test accommodations e-form. So we have last semester we developed a online web form that students can access and complete their test accommodations needs. This form, I will put the link here as well, just in case. You're more than welcome to use this link to add to your syllabus. So students with testing needs, you can add it to their syllabus so they can get directly to this web page. But the student will put in all of their information, the semester, and then of course the course information. So which course they're requesting accommodations for. Down here are the accommodations in which they can request extended testing time, scribe, alt media, and assistive technology. Depending on the accommodations that they check, it depends, that indicates who will get an email. So if it's extended testing time, you as the instructor will get an email stating this student, it'll have their name, has requested test accommodations. Be sure to adjust their time in Canvas. Extended testing time is an instructor responsibility to adjust. So if you have any questions on how to do that, I always refer to Tracy Lovelace because she's a great contact on how to adjust your settings in Canvas to provide the student extended time on either each exam or each question. However you set up your time is how she'll help you do that. A scribe, the email will go to Lovey. Alt Media and Assistive Technology, I will receive an email stating the student needs assistance in these areas. And then what we'll do is we'll reach out to the student and discuss those accommodations and things like that. Let's see. So this form, actually, also I forgot to mention, this form does go to the Testing and Placement Center as well. So it is just kind of a documentation. We'll go into it a little bit more later, but what this form allows DSPS is to track students' needs. So Testing and Placement Center and DSPS gather our data that we need for end of the semester reports and things like that, which we'll touch on a little bit later. But this is an important document. So if you have had students in the past where you've provided accommodations just based upon their checklist stating they need it, we do ask that you have the student at least complete this form one time, because we generally what it is, it'll need to be done for each test, each exam. But I know that instructors are, they have tons of emails. So if you don't want tons of emails letting you know that a student needs these accommodations, as long as they do it one time, you have that, that they need these for the future, that'll be fine. All right, so let me go back to the presentation. Do we have any questions regarding these procedures that I just reviewed, the accommodations checklist or the testing form? No? Okay. Let me go back to the presentation. Let me stop sharing because there we go. That's what happened. Okay. Oops. All right, so we're gonna move on to test logistics, and Lovey will take that from here.
Hi guys, good morning. All right. Okay, as previously mentioned, all test logistics are coordinated by the new BC accommodations web form. Testing accommodation requests will be put through testing and placement, the website, as Katrina just showed. This process will help us keep us track of all the requests that come through for the semester. Like she mentioned, that whole process of tracking. In addition, it'll also notify all parties involved for the student that needs their accommodations to be handled. The timeline for the requesting accommodations is still this 3 days. Same thing for testing and placement and alt media. This will allow you, the faculty, to make the changes needed in Canvas and seek out any assistance that you may need within those 3 days. Again, if you need assistance as in regards to learn the Canvas aspect of the extending the time, that would be best done by reaching out to academic technology team. They have been amazing help, and they have all the tools that you guys need to be able to learn that as well. Alt media with distant learning takes a smaller role, but it is still the 3 days, and you are able to ensure that the exams or quizzes are uploaded to your Canvas page are accessible. But again, she won't make them accessible. She'll check to see if they're accessible. But again, to learn how to make documents accessible, please, 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 Tracy Lovelace and the team, they're amazing. Reach out to them. They have ultimate, great amount of technology assistance in that regard. They have videos, workshops, and all that good stuff. So when it comes to exam aids, that is something that's going to be determined by you. You will have more control as a faculty instructor to be able to manage in that regard. You will monitor through the Canvas or Proctorial. depending on whichever one you're going to be using. They would qualify as rulers, calculators, formula sheets, or cheat sheets of a certain size that you may allow. Test delivery, again, in distant learning, as of right now, will be given through Canvas and or Proctorio if that is something that you guys are utilizing. The test form has changed to electronic communication, as we mentioned before. Please do take some time to check out the Testing and Placements website and the form if you do get a moment before the start of the semester, just so that gives you that little cushion of time to be able to ask any questions, maybe to Kalina, Katrina, or myself. That way you have a little bit of a familiarity of how the student will be filling it out, what it looks like, what to expect, and all that good stuff. Let's see where I just lost my place. Okay. Extended time is again calculated by the instructor. You will need to look at the extended time they're allowed on their accommodations checklist plus the regular class time you are giving. This can be done in Canvas on your end. Again, academic technology team will be more than happy to help you with that. Proctorio is the test-taking software that is embedded within Canvas. Allows instructors to take certain security measures per test. We're not the experts on Proctorio, but again, we just wanted to touch some bases to let you know that that is something that the school is using. Also, just to keep in mind, if the student has a test that is about an hour and a half and closes at 11:59 p.m. on like a Sunday or something, please make sure the student is aware and they have adjusted time added to their test. Please make sure that they start no later than, like, let's say 10:30, for example, or even earlier, because you want to make sure that they get enough time to start the exam, turn it in with their extended time. I know it is a weekend, but just make sure that all the students are aware in that regard when it comes to adding the time. Are there any questions so far? I have a question. Will DS be able to accommodate students? DSPS to be able to accommodate DSPS students for them to take the CLEP exam during the COVID-19 era? I'm not sure. Maybe Kalina can answer that question. Kalina, do you see the chat?
Yes, I do see the chat,
Okay.
and I would say that the answer currently is no. The CLEP exams are administered at the Testing and Placement Center, and the Testing and Placement Center is temporarily closed. The tentative date now is July 31st. So students with accommodations generally provide that information directly to College Board when they register for their examinations. So the extended time that they are eligible for, it's actually adjusted on the test during their test exam or prior to beginning their test exam, I should say, at the testing center. But because the testing center is closed, CLEP exams are not currently available. I am aware that College Board provides a list electronically on their website of locations that have alternative openings. Students have to be willing to drive within up to 100 miles radius and have to pay the administrative testing fee at that specific location, which is arranged, one-on-one with that new alternative location. Did this answer your question, Denise? Thank you. Any additional questions for Lavi before I take the next slide on test security? If you don't have any questions so far, please don't hesitate to address questions that come later on after we have covered the materials we intended for this workshop and through the semester. But I just want to make one additional clarifying note that when we are speaking about the new web form for test accommodations and we are mentioning the Testing and Placement Center, the involvement of the Testing and Placement Center staff is to verify that the students have up-to-date accommodation form on file. So what we do is we are seeing on our end, especially when there is an extended time, but also in the cases where the student have requested a scribe or alternative media, we see the name of the student, we see their course and the specific exam for which they're requesting the approved accommodations. And we verify that they have approved accommodations on file. Should we not see the approved accommodation on file, we contact the DSPS team and verify with them if there is a lag in time that the student have been approved and the form is not updated on our shared drive. And if that is not the case, then we coordinate with each other to kindly, ask the students to make an appointment to renew their approved accommodations or establish the required paperwork with the DSPS team. So I just wanted to make that clarifying statement where the role of the Testing and Placement Center team is now and how it has shifted to the distance learning courses. And currently, our team is pretty much aligning the staff and technology support also to provide a parallel help with admissions and registration questions at the Student Information Desk. So with that said, I will move on to the test security as part of our processes and components of ensuring equitable testing support for our accommodated testing for students with approved accommodation. We all strive to promote the culture of learning, social and emotional growth, responsibility, and community of trust and care. So every faculty and staff wants their students to learn and to show how they have retained the material. More importantly, everyone at Bakersfield College continues to work together to ensure the safety of our students, faculty, and staff, and maximize the test security with the current options and platforms that we have. It is not a surprise to say that mostly the responsibility now have shifted from the Testing and Placement Center as proctors to the faculty predominantly to ensure that the important information about academic honesty and ban of use of unauthorized smart devices on the test has been singularly placed on the faculty and the communication that you provide to your students. So with that said, it is very, very important, and we are all sure that you have done that to address it to your syllabus and to the different components of Canvas through the modules, the assignments, to remind the students how important it is for them to keep the authentication and security integrity of the materials that they are provided. Proctorio has one of the applications that the California Community Colleges Chancellor's Office have approved. Initially, in the previous semester, and when we moved to distance learning operation, the Proctorio software was only approved until December 31st of last year. So logically, some of the faculty was hesitant to invest time and training to promote or use the resources of Proctorio. Now, with the extended virtual support and distance learning predominantly classes, the Chancellor's Office have extended the use of Proctorio till June 30th of 2021, and we do not know if that will be further extended. Hopefully, we are all vaccinated and we return to normal, mostly in-person operations, but at least for now, this is the deadline. What Proctorio allows to use for test security purposes is recording options, recording video, recording audio, recording screen, lockdown options where the test is locked in a forceful screen and only the screen that the student is supposed to be is able to be accessed, nothing else outside the boundaries of that page. And verification options where it can be verified the video or verify the ID of the person taking the test. It is not a secret that there is a lot of discussion about some of these options and how very intrusive they have become, and they have been already disputed. So again, we know that it is a tool. We know that it is available. Not many of the faculties are using it, and these are some of the reasons why they are not used. If you have concerns that students are misusing smart devices that are unauthorized for the test, and you have a proof that there is cheating on the exam, that information has to be recorded. And we have the Maxium report, which has been with our internal operations since we have test accommodations provided either at the testing center or virtually. And the information is filled in depending on the case. Do you have any questions to me concerning test security, communication that you need to provide on that, or anything else that I can address?
Kalina, should I put that Maxium link in there?
Yeah, we have it on the slide, and if you want to.
I can put it in there too, so that way
Thank you so much, Lobby.
they can bookmark it.
Just to clarify, the Maxium report, is that what the irregularity report is that's on the screen?
Yes, this is the link to our internal web page on BC website, and it gets to reflect the student's name, the student information, the incident date, and what have occurred or what the faculty consider that has been done inappropriately. And then that report is sent to Student Life, and Student Life first reviews it, and depending on the severity of the incident, the report or the incident may be elevated to an additional committee that the college has to address the consequences for the particular student and behavior.
Thank you.
And I just put that in the chat for everybody so you guys can bookmark it and hold on to it if you ever need to.
Is that form separate from the standard academic integrity form?
And if you can, I ask, what do you refer as the standard academic?
I forgot the name of it, but it's the form that ends up going to Nikki. If
It is probably the same one. It is probably the same one. I just don't know how it is sent to you, because we have always access it through the Bakersfield College website when it have had an incident internally at the Testing and Placement Center, with, of course, copies of what has been determined as unauthorized use of materials on the test.
Okay, yeah, it's probably the same. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. That makes it easy to be on the same page of what you guys are using and what we have been using and continue to use. Hopefully we don't have to use it at all. That's the most uncomfortable and unpleasant part of any operational student support.
Okay, so we're gonna move to tracking. So as I briefly touched on earlier, tracking documentation is a very large component of our accommodated testing services. We have the accommodations checklist, which again, students are required to provide you. Should you not receive it when they're asking for an accommodation on their test, you are, allowed to ask for that. State, let them know, I received your request for accommodations. Do you have documentation from DSPS approving these? And they can provide you a copy of that. As I mentioned, if you do not receive a form, the standard, not this, I wouldn't say the standard, actually, I'm sorry. If you don't receive the email from the test accommodation website, if you just receive an email from a student saying, I have these accommodations, please provide me these during the semester, that is fine as well. But as I mentioned, please just direct them to at least complete that tracking, the email, oh, sorry, it's Monday morning. My brain is still, I haven't had coffee yet. Please ask them to complete the web form. That web form provides us, as I mentioned, the records we need at the end of the semester to provide to get our funding for DSPS. So to continue providing services for students, we do have to show that students are utilizing the accommodations that they're approved for. So that is one important document that we would ask that you at least have a student complete one time. Also, I want to mention briefly on that is, don't be surprised if you don't know a student has accommodations until the final exam. Some students will not, they'll start the semester out just seeing how it goes, seeing how they do on tests, and maybe mid-semester, just for the final exam, they'll request that test accommodation. So I just don't want that to shock you. If you're new to the whole providing accommodations to students, that could be a possibility. Any questions on that? No? Okay, so Lovey and I are going to go briefly into terms used for DSPS. So when we talk about scribes and alt media, that's what we're going to just briefly define for you right now.
All right. So scribes is my area. I am the one that handles everything that is scribe life. What is a scribe? Scribes are BC students who are taking courses on campus or online. They are paid student workers who have successfully passed the assigned class with a grade A or B. This may not always be required, especially when it comes to English classes or math classes. If they have taken up to, let's say, for example, a calculus class, and there's somebody I need for like math B70 or B80, if that even exists at this point. But I will have them scribe for that class since they are so high in math themselves. A scribe is to assist a student with a disability as the situation warrants within the classroom. It is also mandatory to have a scribe due to state law if it is requested by the student demonstrating the need for that particular accommodation. The type of notes that scribes are to do are going to be within the class that they are assigned only. They are to sit near the student, or in this case, be in the Zoom call or be able to have access to the Canvas page of that student that they are going to be scribing for. I just lost my place too. It's Monday, guys. I'm sorry. For example, if a student is blind and they cannot see much of what's on the front board or even the slides, the student is allowed to give a little bit more in-depth description of what is being talked about. So if we're having a live session in the Zoom and you're presenting a scribe, no, not a scribe, but you're presenting a picture of a sort, or writing on a whiteboard using Zoom whiteboard. I don't know if that's possible, but anything of that sort, the scribe has to use as many descriptive words as they can to be able to describe what you're talking about in that terms. So that way, when the student goes back to those notes, the student is able to understand better of what you were talking about and what it looks like, so they can have a visual aspect on their end as well. The style of notes should be determined with the student and the scribe, meaning if they want to outline or if they just want straight out notes written in, like, freehand. The notes are not to be perfect. They should be similar to notes that have been done by any other student or themselves. They don't have to be in detail descriptiveness to the point where it has to be a complete sentence for all the notes. They can be, just shorthand and all that good stuff, but they don't have to be perfect, because the perfection part comes to the student's responsibility of taking the class information, the textbook information, the notes that are given by the scribe, putting all that information together and making their own set of study material that they will use to help them pass the class. Therefore, it's all on the student's shoulder, and they get to feel that whole college experience, even though they do get a scribe on their end as well. Scribes are to send their notes within 24 hours of the lecture viewed. They should not take longer than that. If you find out that they do take longer than that, please notify me, and then I will talk to the scribe from there. I do keep open communications with the scribe and the student. With being distant learning, I do try to keep open communications with the professors. Beginning of the semester, I will send out emails to each professor that will be involved in regards to having a scribe in their class. It will be sent to the instructor and to Tracy Lovelace and the student involved. So that way, everybody that is involved in that process will be notified in regards to the scribe's responsibility and the fact that you will have a scribe in your class as well. The scribe will have access to your Canvas, but they're not going to be able to post or anything like that. And that access is given by Tracy Lovelace on her end. So that's why she gets involved in that regard, because she has to give access to the scribe to be in the Canvas class, to be able to view the notes or the lectures or the Zoom classes that would be happening. The responsibilities of the scribes, there are quite a few of them, but as of right now, since we're in distant learning, it's just pretty much going to narrow it down to the scribe cannot help with homework, classwork. They cannot do homework or classwork for the student. They're only strictly supposed to do notes. That's it, nothing else. They cannot give them advice on how to solve a problem. They can't hint to them that, oh, you should ask this question, or this is how you should write the email to your professor, or anything like that. They are just there to be the pencil and the eyes and the hands. That's it. They don't use their mind. They're not going to give any input. They're not going to do anything like that. The only thing they are allowed to let me or you know is that if the student is not coming in, if they're not responding, if they're not, responding to their email, and they want to know, if the student is going to be attending the class or not, that is for sure something the scribes have been doing in the past and kept up to date with me as in that regard, because we want to know we're using the scribes accordingly and not just sending them to the class when the student isn't there. The scribe and the student have to be present in the class. It cannot be the scribe by themselves in that class doing the notes. If the student is not there, scribe is not there. When it comes to exams, the student's case is handled as they come in. If they need a scribe for during the distant learning, that will be something that will be discussed between you as faculty and our DSPS team, and we will handle it case by case and do a discussion to see how we will do that with the students' needs in mind. Any questions so far?
Scribe and student need to both be present. So if student is not present, but scribe is present,
Then the scribe will only wait for 15 minutes within the class to give the student a chance to come in. Especially with Zoom, they might just give them about 15 to 20 minutes since there might be some internet connections going on in that sense. But the scribe does email me to let me know the student was late, not there, or didn't check in, anything of that sort. Or if you let the scribe know that the student is not gonna come in. So either one way or another, they let me know that they were yes in the class or no, they weren't in the class.
okay. If for some reason I'm teaching 90 students online and trying to do something synchronous last semester, and I figured that out after the class has been completed, that the scribe was there, but the student was there. A situation I have not experienced, but I'm just doing what else. I send an email to you. Who do I
Yeah.
alert to this?
Yeah, you would send the email to me. And also that has happened in the past, and we have done it to where I've had the scribe hold on to the notes and not send them out until we figure out if you as the professor or instructor know that the student wasn't there or wasn't showing up, or if we can get a hold of the student in that regard to see if the student was there or not. So with distant learning, it comes to be where there's more of a relationship between me and the instructor, a little bit more in depth than it was on campus, because on campus it was a physical and it was much easier to keep track of them going in and going, in and out of the classroom and whatnot. But now it's a little bit different. So a lot of people do like technology and a lot of people don't. So they're all in different, aspects of technology when it comes to being able to deal with it. So, yeah.
So real quick, I just want to point out, so just to go off of that. So at the end of the slide, you'll see our contact information. Any questions on Scribe, just keep my email handy as well. And when you send Lovey an email, if you can CC me, because Lovey will be leaving in February on maternity leave. So myself and another staff member will be helping fill those Scribe questions and Scribe issues. So if you can just CC me as well if you have any questions regarding scribes.
Sorry, I totally forgot that. Thank you.
Any other questions on scribes though? No.
Thank you. Those were amazing questions, by the way.
All right, so a little bit about alt media and assistive technology. That is my area. So alt media is pretty much just what it sounds like. It's an alternate format of the media needed for your class. So whether it be a textbook, a handout, your exams, what I do is I convert that to make sure that they're accessible for a student. So depending on the student's disability, when we were on campus, we generally did a lot of Braille for our blind students. So that is something we're kind of putting a pause on, of course, because we're not able to process Braille. However, a student can still request a Braille textbook because we work with the we work with a vendor out of Camarillo that can emboss textbooks and have them mailed to a student, physical copies of Braille books. So that is still something we can do, but a lot of students, a lot of our blind students have moved to e-formats. So it could be a Word document or a PDF that they're using a screen reader to read for them. If you have a student who has any questions on that, please be sure to direct them my way. The assistive technology is what the screen reader is called. So we have two that we provide a student for free. It's called Kurzweil and Read and Write Gold. Blind students also use other technology like JAWS or NVRA, I believe it's called. So those are programs they can have as well. So that's one reason why we just mention that, to be sure that your documents that you're uploading to your Canvas are accessible. Generally what that means is that there's a format to them. If you create something in Word, make sure that you're using headings, bullet marks, or bullet points, I'm sorry, and just giving it an outline. And again, if you have questions on how to make something accessible, you can definitely reach out to me, but I will just kind of give you a quick thing, in-depth like lesson on that. Definitely reach out to Academic Technology. Matt Jones has great information on that. One thing I want to point out with assistive technology and Proctorio that we've touched on previously. We, at this point, last semester, we were under the impression that the two did not work well because Proctorio is a lockdown browser. Kurzweil has a web application. It's a web shortcut, or I forget what the right term of it is right now, but it's an app that's on their Google Chrome, which they can log in and they can have their web pages read out loud to them. So just keep in mind, if you have a student who needs the assistive technology and they want to use that, if you're using Proctorio, we might have to find some other solutions to that. It didn't play out last semester, but a discussion was actually having like bringing in the Testing and Placement Center, because as Kalina mentioned, they've kind of taken a lesser role. But with something like that, maybe a Testing and Placement Center would actually be the proctor. So it would be a Zoom meeting with Testing and Placement Center staff, the student, and allowing a screen share, kind of like what we're doing now, so that we can view the student's screen and make sure that they're using the technology and having that read out to them. But just so you know about that, this time we really don't know how it's going out. And last semester we had something, but the student like found a solution and was okay with not using the technology, so it worked out for that student. But if anything comes about, then please reach out to me and we will see where we can make arrangements to get those accommodations met. Any questions? Okay. Here is our contact information. And that is, Kalina's going to close it out for us.
Well, again, I want to readdress that we are all together in these challenging times, and we are continuing to be, working and collaborating and making the processes as secure and as supportive and equitable for the students to ensure student learning and progression. With all the logistical changes that we have made to adequately and properly communicate with you and the students with the implementation of the new web form, we have had the normal, or at certain points when it's a midterm time or a final exam, extended communication with the faculty to make sure that a certain form is legitimate, or it is really signed by a DSPS counselor, that the extended time is not duplicated, that a accessibility to specific test materials is checked and verified, and if not, to reach out to the Academic Technology for their support, their expertise, and provide security on that components as well. So please make sure that you continue to communicate with us. Each of us are monitoring, our emails, our direct emails, the ComDesk email that is specifically for the Testing and Placement Center, and where a copy of the form filled in by each student comes into, is again daily verified by our Testing and Placement team. And we are also helping the student in real time, first come, first serve, at our DSPS virtual lobbies at the student information desk. So both lobbies are equally trying to help students. If we see a student that comes to the student information desk that have a specific questions that haven't been addressed, we try to help the student, as much as possible at the set. And if not, we guide them to go and visit the DSPS or provide that information to a DSPS specialist so that there is as prompt and as secure support to the student. If a faculty have reached out either electronically via email or they come to one of our lobbies, we proceed the same way so we can ensure that there is no delay on your part in supporting the student with whatever accommodation, assistance, or support to your access to Canvas or Proctorio as possible. So thank you for listening and paying a very close attention to the information, and we are looking forward to provide you with a copy of that presentation to answer any questions that may come either later today or later in the end of this week as you prepare your information for the start of the class next week. And we are looking to have a successful, better, and kinder new year and a semester for our students. Again, we appreciate your time, and hopefully the time that you spent with us was useful and meaningful to you in your individual and collective efforts to provide exceptional course
Well, this is Joseph
content.
Termley. If you could just have him fill out the survey, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Selena, I have a question for you, but maybe it's about something slightly unrelated. So if anyone else has a question, if you're taking questions.
I am
Yeah.
taking questions. We are still on workshop time. I don't know if all the information is being recorded specifically for this workshop. So this is part of the host responsibility, but I would like to help with whatever questions and concerns you may have, either regarding specifically accommodated testing, our renewed and realigned support of the testing and placement center assistance, or anything that I personally may be in help with.
Okay. Anybody else? With the reworking of the placement aspect to your office and to everything that goes on there, we're thinking about going back, and we did an analysis of different community colleges in the state, also the CSUs. They still have placement tests for chemistry. And AB 705, I always get the number wrong, but is math and English. And we just did an institutional research survey trying to look at the progress of students who went on the different tracks. And there's a decent argument for the chemistry program to institute some type of placement exam in order to alleviate enrollment burden and also increase success. How things are set up right now, I'm sure this is a higher level conversation which we have not engaged with yet. Does your office right now, how it's been looked at, could be able to administer some type of placement test for such a program if it were to materialize institutionally at BC?
I think that our team is always open to opportunities that will ensure progress for our students and eliminate barriers. With that said, I have to be realistic to say that we have to assess the additional load that will bring in testing support logistics because we are literally 3-people team. It's myself and 2 other people. So if we're specifically looking at our STEM program students, and we know that there is not such a large group of people, we have to assess to see, what additional flow that will be to our operations and how we can maximize the existing, testing stations and the technology. Do we have to have a new type of test for which we'll have to buy a certificate? We will need to know how our team will need to be trained to administer that test. Will that test be, a cost that the student will participate with, or it will be something that the college will absorb, and so forth. So there is a separate level of, testing support in the proctoring component of what the test requires, what type of training, how often that training has to be renewed, what are our current stations, and with the distance that is required now, mostly as what I'm trying to visualize is that even when we return to some new variation of normalcy, we'll probably have space restrictions. The current space at the testing and placement center is very small and very limited. So if we are looking at supporting the same flow of operations as we have had before, in our numbers that have shifted from before, from the assessment component or the assessment/placement component for math and English tests, have allowed for more of the students with approved accommodations to balance or to level up, the support that we have with staff and technology. Now, if we add or factor in that we have to provide at least 6 feet of distance between the students, and we are looking at adding another component to that small space, I think that we need to address, multiple factors to ensure, again, the safety, the security, and the proper administration of what ultimately that advancement for students in their student success and retention will help with.
Thank you, Kalina.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you, lovely Katrina. Yes. And have a good day.
No problem. You guys have a good one. Take care.
Have a nice day.
I wish that I ask everyone if we can turn your camera if you feel comfortable, so I can take a picture and send it to our academic technology. How do you guys feel? Would you like to participate in that advertisement for our workshop?
Sure.
Trying to find some sun here. There we go.
And I promise I'll try to take the best picture. Ready?
Mhm.
Thank you so much. You'll probably see it in our communication with sending you a copy of the presentation. And again, thank you for your time. Don't be shy to ask any questions. If we don't have the answer, or if it's something that we need to again elevate to the higher level, most of the people that have known me already know that I'm not shy to ask these questions, because it's all for the students.
And then also don't forget to fill out the survey so we know how we're doing.
Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
You too.
Have a great week. Be safe.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Hi, Michelle. I guess we are done. Joseph, thank you so much for your assistance with the workshop.
Yep, no problem. I'll be here for the next one.
Okay,
Alrighty.
well, we will see you again. Hopefully, we'll see you
Yeah.
again on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Maybe. Well,
Alrighty.
All right. Bye, everybody. See